Hello, and welcome to Positive Impact for Mind and Body. I I always get, excuse me, these interesting messages from the angels at the weirdest times. And I know last time I mentioned something about the three seals, which Metatron explained to me something about and I guess you and anyone who's watching may have chosen this particular path. And he says, you chose this path, you needed to break free of the three seals. And I said, what are the three seals? And he said, the first is the seal of acceptance. And you have to remember, okay, so I'm channeling this, but I'm also listening to my dog barking and I can hear my kids rummaging around in the kitchen. So some of it is super clear and then some of it gets, so the other piece of the first seal, sorry, I'm just diving right into this topic. I'm not even introducing it properly. But I got a message from Metatron. I mentioned it in the last podcast, and I wanted to follow up on it here because I had someone ask me to go into more detail. And, with good reason, because I myself was like, that's a good thing to research, right? Check it out. So I did. And what I found was that there are actually three seals in Buddhism. And wouldn't you love to hear Jason's input on this? I want to get him on my podcast again. Anyway, maybe we'll have another conversation about it in the future. But the three seals in Buddhism, apparently, the first is impermanence. The second is non-self. And the third is nirvana, right? Nirvana, we are all familiar with that topic. If you're a fan of Positive Impact, if you've been watching my podcast, or like the Naked Yoga Ladies podcast, I'm imagining. Okay, that's a different show. That's a different podcast. Anyway, if you've heard of those things, Dharma, Karma, Nirvana, that you're kind of familiar with some of the thoughts of traditional Buddhism. And although I have not studied Buddhism, my son has, and he's not around to ask this question. But anyway, so Metatron was talking to me. So this is like an angel you would think would originate from like the Roman Catholic thought of angels, etc. Really, I know nothing about this. All I'm saying is what I channel, okay? When he was talking to me about the three seals, he says, you've chosen this path and you needed to break free of the three seals. And the first was non-acceptance, or getting to the point of accepting the fact that life changes all the time. There's always change. And like I said, the acceptance of impermanence. And it is true throughout my life, I don't, let's say, I don't avoid change. I kind of embrace it because it's going to change anyway, and I'll just go into this a little bit. So I'm looking for a house, right? Because I need to get out of this house that we're renting. So I'm preparing this house, I'm getting ready and cleaning things out, putting fresh flowers by the front door. I'm, kind of like trying to help the owners sell this house. We go to drive by a house that is for sale. It's been for sale for a long time. And I'm parked like right at the threshold of the driveway, just kind of a drive-by, take a look, right? This guy zooms up in a big truck, big 4x4. I think that's what they're called. Are they called that? Anyway, and he's standing there angry, impatient. And I'm like, ooh, we got to get out of the way. He wants to get out. No, what he did was he followed us down the hill and then cut off on another road. So I turned around and I was coming back, and I wanted to see it from a different perspective. So I parked across the street and I'm looking, and my son notices, Mom, that guy is across the street glaring at us. Like nothing's going to change if he prevents us from looking at his house. So apparently what it was, he was renting that house. And this is where I don't know, I guess I laugh at it, because if you're renting, you're moving anyway, unless you've made an offer on the house or you're going to buy it, right? So like my family laughs at me because I'm like, this is all going to change in like a year. This is all going to be different. But the point is that I have always accepted change. The second I signed the lease on this house, I knew I was going to be moving in 2 years, maybe a little more. If I had more time, that would have been fine too. But I kind of embrace the change, in other words, and I don't really expect anything to be permanent, quote unquote, permanent for long or forever, especially now, right? Everything now is speeded up. Everything's moving so fast. You know that change is coming, regardless if you want it or not. So yeah, it is true. Like throughout my life, I've kind of known that things are going to change, whether I want them to or not. Things are going to change. So that being said, acceptance of the impermanence. That's what Metatron was talking about. And just to kind of put this into perspective, so I was raised Roman Catholic, and I know that there are lovers of Positive Impact magazine that are not Roman Catholic, but that's okay because Metatron says this is a universal concept. It's not just Buddhism. It's in every religion that you look at, you're going to find this. And again, I wish Jason were here, but anyway. The second one is knowing non-self. And this is something that I talk to the people in my workshops all the time about, not necessarily giving up your identity or releasing your, hi, Papa. Hi, good afternoon. Aw, thank you, Papa. Good afternoon. I'm not necessarily talking about abandoning your ego entirely because in my opinion, you kind of need your ego to survive right now. And I'm not saying ego in a bad way. I'm saying ego as your ego identifies you as something different than the next person you are with, only to say that maybe you offer humanity something a little different than the next person next to you. That's all. I'm not saying, you should be a narcissist or anything. I'm just saying like your ego does positive things as well as can get in the way. So knowing yourself in a non-self state. This is, I believe, why it's so important to practice meditation so that you can actively experience, this physical body in a non-physical way, if that makes sense. Meditation, it takes you into the alpha and theta states. And if you're lucky, getting into more delta state, that's a real, it's almost like a practice, that you can master. So I always talk to my students about that state in Be a Body Psychic when I'm giving that course, and that it's really important when you're giving someone else a reading to go into that state of non-self. You have no expectations. You don't want to predict with the cognitive mind. You don't want to have any preconceived notions of what you're going to see. You want to stay and remain in that open non-self state. And then you want to utilize, all of your I want to say talents for communicating what you do perceive on that non-self state. Now, I'm sure there are states beyond that in non-self that are even more and more selfless, let's say. But Metatron also, I got to read from my notes. Sorry, I wrote notes. Excuse me. The second age, to accept yourself as you, the first seal of acceptance is to accept and also accept yourself and accept that you will change over and over and over again. The second is to transcend the age of contemporary man's thinking. And okay, so the second one is anatya. I hope I said that right. All the Buddhists out there, let me know if I said that right or not. That place of non-self. So who was the most selfless in Western religion? Wasn't that Jesus, right? So I have a belief, and I share it with people in my healing sessions and, like I said, Be a Body Psychic course, that Jesus lives within each of our cells. And the more we tap into that belief, that understanding, that appreciation, the more we'll experience things like peace, the more we'll experience the things like joy, epiphanies, being okay with everyone as they are, so that's really hard for people to grasp and think about. So in the Buddhist context, the realization of non-self is similar to living and breathing and feeling Jesus inside of you. That's what Metatron was trying to say. And so the first part of this doesn't sound like that at all, but this is what the second was the age of contemporary man's thinking. The only souls left I can teach, in other words, Jesus and the angels, are those souls who identified and choose ways to speak with me directly. That's a powerful freaking idea, isn't it? Instead of prayer and you're hoping they're listening and you're hoping that the message gets through. No, you can have direct conversations. Like I talked to Metatron and I talked to Raphael during healings, and I get information. And yesterday I gave a healing to someone. It was about dropping certain supplements because they were contraindicated to other things they were taking, and we had to open a portal in the sacrum and what was going on in her life. These were direct messages from Raphael, information. And the more I do that, the more I feel at peace. It gives me peace to know that I can do that with other people, but also myself, to feel good about that. So then he goes on to say, the third is knowing your heart's essence. So when you look at your heart's essence and you look at the third seal of Buddhist belief, that nirvana, isn't that the heart's essence? To feel that transcendence, that joy that you experience when you've transcended samsara, the karmic wheel, right? Over and over and over again. So, in that regard, the Buddhist context of the realization of non-self and emptiness, it is to feel that nirvana, that place of transcendence. That's the only way I can explain it. So I think that is what Metatron was trying to explain to me. Maybe what you watching now is something that you need to hear or need to know about. Because the thing that I had mentioned, I guess I've mentioned this in a couple of podcasts, about how we, our society right now, the way we're structured and how we're exposed to information 24/7. You can understand why Metatron was like, you have to transcend contemporary man's thinking. You have to get beyond that. People who sit and watch the news all day are probably the most depressed people on earth, right? Not healthy, not good. But you spend some more time in that selfless place and offer that invitation again. Remember, I said, invite those angels in, invite Jesus in, invite and be receptive to that message instead of the news, instead of the social media algorithms that are just going to give you the same crud all over and over and over again. Be receptive to what's different and what's refreshing. I am constantly surprised by the messages I get from the angels. I think I told you guys a long time ago how Metatron started working with me. This golden grid started popping out of my chest and my solar plexus, and either going straight down my Reiki clients' bodies or enveloping them. And it happened over and over and over again. And then I saw a golden grid pop out over the studio door where I was renting, and all these different things. And I laid down on my table after the last session one day and I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "Metatron." And I honestly thought I was messing with myself. I honestly thought I was thinking about Transformers, like I had just seen a Transformer movie and I was like, no, that's gotta be. And then I talked to someone else who was actually really knowledgeable about the angels. And she said, oh no, that's a real angel. That's a real angel. And since then, he has informed me of the book of not the book of Metatron, the book of Enoch, and his Merkaba, and he's explained to me certain premises about the Razi al-Ha-Malak, which I'm supposed to read eventually. All these things, right? I have never heard of before. Now I'm looking them up, finding them on the internet, and like, wow, that is a thing. So it's refreshing to me because I genuinely, I am open for the information and I genuinely want to learn more. I know there's so much more out there. But that's the general message of the 3 seals, is that you have to be okay with impermanence. You have to be in a selfless place like Jesus was to really be present and get those messages that you need from angels, from God and Jesus. And you have to be able to transcend what's going on right now, because it'll help you survive what you're going through and better prepare you for the energies that are still to come. And I do believe that. I think, I want to encourage you, if not for any other reason, and I've always said this, every family should have a healer in it, Reiki or whatever. I know there's a Metatron course out there I wanted to look into also. But they should have a healer, someone who is CPR certified, not for nothing. You just never want to be in a position where you can't save someone's life, especially your own family member. And you want to make sure that you have, the third one I think is missing right now because I'm so caught up in the thought of the 3 seals. But you want to have, people in your family that can take care of you when you need it most. I think at one time I thought it should be a lawyer, and then I thought, man, that's kind of crappy. I don't like that thought. So, lawyer in the essence of, protecting you and your family if need be when the time comes. But again, that's thinking more along the lines of the, contemporary man's thinking. And I guess the message is not to get too caught up in that your soul is bigger than that. Your soul is more, I want to say, receptive to divine energy and light and love and healing, far more receptive than we give it credit for. Let's put it that way. So for me personally, I keep thinking like, I'm too messed up to transcend that much, right? Too much going on. But it is an admirable state to get into if you're under a lot of stress and you need to just check out temporarily. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a bad thing to practice checking out through meditation and through visualizations and making sure. And I'm not saying escape your problems, but it does put them into perspective. And very often you will be provided even better guidance for the next change that's coming up. It's always a fascinating thing to me. My dad used to say when I was a kid, and growing up through my teens, my 20s and 30s, he'd always say, you always fall into, blank and come out smelling like a rose. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how I do it either. But that being said, that's how I feel like if you embrace that thought of the 3 seals, if you go with the flow, accept that periodically you need to put your ego in the back seat, just temporarily, just so that you can feel that peaceful feeling again and reconnect with Source, with God, with the angels, with Jesus. And then that place of nirvana, that place where you can transcend all of the details, the minutia of daily life, is so much easier to access and appreciate than if you were just at that, like I said, like Metatron said, at that state where you're constantly thinking about contemporary man's thinking. You're always inundated with social media and the news and your radio and your television, your cell phone. Deliberately give yourself breaks from that and deliberately focus on that which is eternal, right? So I think that was the bigger message. And I hope Metatron corrects me if I'm wrong, but I think that was what he was shooting for. Anyway, Tuesday, the 15th, I'm so excited. Bernard Ilsley, a very famous psychic from England, is going to be on my podcast. I get to interview him. And, if you have any questions for Bernard as well, please ask. Just a little side note, if you're sending me messages, I don't know what it is, through Facebook, if you don't send me a message, let's see, how does this work? I'll say that I'm not getting all messages. Like if you put them through a messenger through Positive Impact, I don't get them. If you send them through YouTube, I don't get them there either. Where I do get messages, I just stumbled upon the one that Rebecca asked me to kind of illuminate the 3 seals just now. I just stumbled upon that just as I was coming on to do this podcast. So if you want to send me a message, please, please, please do it through Mind Body Mastery Facebook page, because I won't get it otherwise. Or you can also just put a comment. The comments I do check. I check on all the comments all the time. So if you have a comment or a question, please put it in the chat or go to my Mind Body Mastery Facebook page, because I'm not getting the messages through Positive Impact for some reason. I don't know why. Well, you know why? Because I think there's 18 administrators. So it's just going to this massive general mailbox and I don't get anything really. So that was today's wisdom. I hope you enjoyed it. And, if you do have any questions, or if you want to catch up with me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, follow me at Nicole's MBM. And at any time, you can also DM me on any of those, because that I will get. But in the meantime, thank you so much for enjoying and loving your mind and body. And I will see you Tuesday with Bernard Ilsley. Look him up. He's a really cool psychic. I love the guy. And he's very open. He's not like one of those weird psychics. He's a very open, very cool, normal guy, just like the rest of us, right? All right. Go love and enjoy your mind and body. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you Tuesday at 3:00 Eastern time. Bye.